We'll start off episode 2 here. First thing I want to mention is this Craftsman Kits 101. You can go to the Bar Mills website and download it from their main page. It has all kinds of very good information as far as using different adhesives, different tools, different paints, different ways of doing things. I highly recommend that if you haven't done it already, to download that and read through it. I've taken their instruction manual and I've unstapled it. Their first series of pages has some pictures, explains about the diorama itself and different ways they do things, things that are included, not included, some basic techniques, some detail parts. They just brush over some of the stuff that's in the Craftsman's Kit 101 also. And then starting here is the first building. It's actually the garage on Monk Hill, which is called the Battery Building. And they have a number of pictures showing how they built it, explaining some of the different procedures they did. There's some full-size elevation drawings. And then they get into the actual build itself, the different sheets, the different ways of doing things. Very good reading. I suggest that it all gets read before you do anything. One of the first things I do is I take these pieces that they show here and match them up with what's actually in the bag. So let's get this bag open. And make sure that what they say is there is actually there. All right, this is the Battery Building. We have acetate sheet for windows. Here's a number of different little sheets. Let's see if we can get this to match what we're seeing here. All right, this is that. Okay, so that's there. This is the two sides of the building. So that's there. We have this, which is up here. This is brick, which has to be that. We've got a side of a building right there. We have piece 18. All right, this is right there, the water tank base assembly unit. Okay, this is doors. That's got to be this one here. Okay. We have these miscellaneous pieces. And we have this up here. So we have everything. We have some miscellaneous stuff here that I'm not sure exactly where they are located. Maybe if we turn the sheet here, we can see it. No. They may have fallen off one of the other sheets. Don't know. But we know they're there. So we know we have to go look for them eventually. So now that we know all the pieces are there, one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to lightly sand each one of these pieces to help eliminate the burn from the laser, so that we don't have to do as much painting to cover it up. So that's going to take a while. Let me do that and we'll get to the next step. All right, as you can see, the laser burn marks on the wood, depending on the color that you want to paint that, sometimes it's very difficult to cover that up. What I have is 320 paper, 320 grit paper, and by lightly sanding this, you can see how it eliminates those burn marks. All right, which makes painting over the top of it a lot easier, because now you're not trying to hide that laser burn. Just do it gently. You don't want to eliminate any of the detail. It's a time-consuming step, but one that I feel makes it a lot better looking when you're done. This side is terrible. You can see the difference that makes. And I'll do that on every piece of wood to eliminate all that laser burn marks. The next thing I'm going to do is not a requirement of the kit. It's a little bit added detail that I wanted to do myself. The kit, this particular building, I don't know if you can see it, is actually siding, individual siding. I don't know, back when these buildings were originally built, back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, their building preferences. I don't know how they spaced their studs. I don't know how long their siding boards were. What I'm going to do is I'm going to arbitrarily say that the siding is 8 feet long, and the 2x4s that they're nailed to are 24 inches on center. It just makes it a little bit easier to lay it out. So basically, I have a ruler here that has an HO scale to it, and I'm going to start marking the boards at 8-foot lengths. Okay, so here's 8 foot. I'm going to put a little mark there that looks like it's a joint between the boards. Now the next one up, I'm not going to mark in the same spot. I'm going to just move it over 2 feet so that the joint is not in the same spot all the time. And we'll mark that joint. And move it up, move it over 2 feet, and mark that joint. Okay, we'll move it up, move it over 2 feet, and mark that joint. Okay, and now we're going to have to go back here. And mark the 8-foot boards. Okay, I don't know if you can really see that, but it looks like joints now in the boards when they were nailed on. On this side here, those boards are only a little over 7 feet, so you don't need to have joints. They would have been put on with individual boards. So if we continue on, after I get done marking the boards, the board joints, then I'm going to add what looks like nail heads. And like I said earlier, this is not a requirement of the kit. This is just a little added detail that in reality most people that see this kit will not even notice this, but that's all part of model building, in my opinion. Putting little details in and around your model that make it look a little bit more realistic. And when people do spot it, I think it makes a big difference in the way they view your creation. I got about 4 more boards here to mark. right, last board here. Okay. Now, hopefully you can see that. I'll move it around maybe if the light hits it the right way. Now, the next step, now that we have boards, we have to have nail holes where the boards were held on with nails. In order to do that, I took just a straight pin, cut the head off, and put it in my hand drill. And I will go through, and because I'm an old codger here, I'll use a magnifying glass so I can see what I'm doing. And I'll just start puncturing little nail holes on the end of every board. And these here, I would just put in where you think you would actually nail a board on if you were building the building. So you're looking at the edge of every window, the edge of the door, and then I'll go through and every 2 foot where the studs in the back are, I will do that also. This one here, probably again, I don't know if you can see it. I'll move it around a little bit here. This one I have done already. And, you know, you can see the nail holes. And it'll just be a little added something once it's all done. After this, the next step is, as shown on here, is the support posts to keep the ends of the building from warping when you apply paint. So I've got after I've sanded these down, I've got all my nail holes and joints in them. So now we got to put the interior bracing on. We have a package of interior bracing. These are 2x6. No, these are, I don't even know what they are. They call them interior bracing. They're going to have to go right on this here. So first of all, we need to mark this top. And how do I want to cut this? Okay. Okay, we need to trim that a little bit more. for this, I'm going to be using the basically yellow carpenter's glue. And this tip on this is way too big to try to apply. So we're going to squirt out a little bit. Onto the pad. And we're going to use a toothpick. Now I need to clamp that in place. Oh, I need my clamps. All right. All right, this one here. This cutting board can be a lifesaver. If you don't have one, you should seriously consider getting one. Okay, we'll leave that edge a little bit long and we'll trim that off afterwards. All right, we'll let that sit and dry for now. Some of you may be wondering why my clothespins look so weird. What you do with these is you take them out, you reverse them, and put the spring back in. That way there's not so much pressure on the end. Now once he's all dry, and you go on, and I'm going to put primer on both sides. The reason put primer on both sides is that if you just put it on one side, as it dries, it'll cause it to warp. By putting it on both sides, it'll help keep that warping to a minimum. Plus, with the support brackets in back, they'll be here, all four sides, and then across the middle. That will also help it from warping because of the thicker material that we're using. So we'll cut it at here at this point, and we'll go on next time.